All right, let's jump right in. So imagine for a second you're a sociologist. You're trained to see the world through hard data, through reason. Then you meet a guy who performs exorcisms, says he can travel outside his body, and talks about paying off karmic debts from past lives like it's a credit card bill. Today, we're diving into Kyriacos Markides' incredible book about a spiritual healer from Cyprus, a story that, honestly, challenges pretty much everything we think we know about reality. We have to start right here. Just let those words sink in for a moment. These are the words of that healer, spoken to a young Jewish woman who came to him for help. What in the world could be the story behind a sentence like that? Well, to get it, you have to meet the man who said it. So, the author, Kyriacos Markides, is a sociology professor. He grew up in Cyprus hearing these wild stories about a man named Spyros Sathi, but everyone called him Daskalos, which just means teacher. The local priest would warn the kids, stay away from the MAGUS of STROVOLOS. But when Markides, now a full-blown academic, finally decides to meet the man behind the myth, well, his entire worldview gets put on trial. And the first thing that hits Markides is just how wrong everyone was. He's expecting some kind of dark, menacing sorcerer. But what he finds is this warm, funny, grandfatherly type, a retired guy living on a small government pension who was incredibly articulate and deeply religious. This wasn't some primitive shaman from the mountains. This was a sharp, thoughtful person whose reality was just completely different. And it's that huge gap between the myth and the man that really hooks you. Okay, so how do you even begin to wrap your head around a world like this? Markides figured out pretty quickly that he couldn't just be a detached observer. He had to be part of it. And his real journey starts when he witnesses something that seems totally impossible: the exorcism of a young Israeli woman named Hadas. And yeah, this is where that shocking quote from the beginning finally comes into play. This situation was, to put it mildly, terrifying. Hadas tells them she's being possessed by the spirits of a Nazi couple who died in the bombing of Hamburg during the war. They carried all that hatred with them into the afterlife, and now they were systematically trying to destroy her mind from the inside out. And get this, they'd already done this to 4 other women, all of whom ended up in an asylum. For Hadas, this wasn't some psychological issue. It was a life-or-death battle. But what happened next wasn't some chaotic, Hollywood-style exorcism. It was incredibly methodical. Daskalos, just brilliantly, tailors the whole ritual to Hadas's own Jewish faith. He has her hold a Star of David and recite Hebrew prayers, making her an active part of her own healing. Then he uses this thing he calls an unpointed sword to draw symbols in the air, using the candle flame as a kind of portal to confront these entities directly. So what was the end game? Well, Daskalos didn't destroy the Nazi spirits. Instead, he said he cast them into a place he called Erebos, a sort of spiritual abyss designed to completely wipe their memories and their hatred. The goal wasn't punishment at all. He called it an act of divine mercy. It gave the spirits a chance to start over, free from the evil they had created. But I mean, this just begs the question, how is any of this even possible? To understand the world of Daskalos, you have to understand its fundamental physics. And in his system, the basic building block of reality isn't the atom or the quark. It's something he calls an elemental. This concept is the key to everything, from healing and prayer to curses and obsession. So what is an elemental? Well, in this worldview, your thoughts aren't just these passive things happening inside your head. They are actual, tangible creations. Every time you think a strong thought or feel a powerful desire, you are literally giving birth to an energy form, an elemental, that goes out into the world with a life of its own, trying to do the job you created it for. I mean, just think about the implications of that for a second. A heartfelt prayer for a friend? That's a good elemental. Holding a bitter grudge against someone for years? That's a nasty, malevolent one. And here's the kicker. These elementals eventually circle back to you, usually stronger than when you first sent them out. Daskalos taught that our worst habits, our deepest anxieties, our addictions, these are just powerful elementals that we ourselves created and that we keep feeding until they literally enslave us. And this idea just keeps building. If our thoughts can create these independent entities, then what does that say about our own consciousness? For Daskalos, it's definitely not stuck inside our skulls. To get his more advanced teachings, you have to understand his model of what a human being actually is. Daskalos had a specific term for it: exomatosis. We might call it astral projection or an out-of-body experience, but for him and his inner circle, this wasn't some random, hazy dream. It was a skill, something you could practice and master. It was a tool they used to travel, to learn, and to heal people as what he called invisible helpers. His model says that our personality in this life is made up of 3 interconnected bodies. You've got the physical one, we all know, the gross material body, but then there's a psychic body, which is made of our emotions and feelings, and a noetic body, made of our thoughts. So exomatosis is just the practice of consciously stepping out with your psychic and noetic bodies combined, fully aware, while your physical body just chills out. So we've got elementals, out-of-body travel. But maybe the most profound and challenging idea from Daskalos is his take on karma. He didn't see it as just this cold individual accounting system. For him, it was a cosmic system of balance where if you acted out of pure love, you could literally take on the suffering of someone else to help them. This is a pretty radical idea, right? It totally reframes karma from this individualistic you get what you deserve thing to a communal law of mercy. Daskalos taught that when you willingly take on someone's burden out of love, no strings attached, the divine intelligence of the universe, which he called the Logos, steps in and basically pays off 90% of that debt for you. You only have to shoulder a tiny fraction. You become a conduit for grace. And this wasn't just some abstract theory for him. He gave this wild personal example. He said that his nephew's sick baby was actually the reincarnation of a pirate who had killed him in a past life. As Daskalos worked to heal the child, he consciously took on the rest of that karmic debt himself, and it physically manifested as gangrene in his own leg. It was only after he went through that whole ordeal and healed himself that the baby was finally cured too. Talk about cosmic justice. So what do you do with all this? I mean, it's a lot. But Daskalos was never interested in blind faith or starting some new religion. He called his whole system a path of investigation. His students weren't followers. They were researchers of truth. And for him, all these phenomena, exorcisms, elementals, karma, were things to be explored and verified for yourself. And to be a researcher of truth, you needed a very specific mindset. You had to be impartial, to stand above the noise of politics and religion. Daskalos warned that if you feel strongly for or against any side of an issue, you're just going to invent rationalizations to support your own bias. The goal is to be a detached, objective, and compassionate force for good. The whole point, the ultimate mission, is to be of service. And really, that's what it all comes down to. This journey that Markides took us on isn't about chasing miracles or seeing cool paranormal stuff. It's about witnessing something extraordinary, like that exorcism, and then doing the hard work to understand the universal laws that make it possible. And once you have that understanding, you have a responsibility to use it to help people, to ease suffering in the world. And that leaves us with a pretty powerful question to chew on. Whether you take these teachings literally or just as a powerful metaphor for psychology, they force you to look in the mirror. If every single thought, every feeling, every grudge, every act of kindness is an elemental, a real creative force that we send out into the world, then what kind of reality are you and I building right now with the energy of our own minds?